Hello and welcome to Relatively Crafty, a knitting podcast. I'm your host, Christy. I come to you from the Denver area of Colorado, where I live with my husband, Ron, our two daughters, Tatum and Delaney, our tuxedo kitty, Lilu, and our Podango puppy, Sophie. Welcome! If you are looking for me on Ravelry, I am Christy-Lael, and on Instagram, I am Christy-Lael without the dash. This is a knitting podcast. I'm going to talk about knitting. So let's go ahead and get into my FOs. I have two. They are both socks. But you guys don't mind seeing socks, do you? So the first pair is a pair of Christmas socks that I just finished, obviously. This is my 8th pair, I think, of Christmas socks. As you may know, I am trying to knit 31 pairs so that I can wear them every day of December. I had planned on having that done by this year. I'm not sure I'm going to make it because I still have several pairs left to knit and I don't have enough yarn with which to knit it. Yes. But, you know, it's an ongoing process and yeah, I had more yarn that I had set aside for Christmas yarn, but I've decided I like it when it's traditionally Christmas. So, so something that's, you know, red and green really is what does it for me. I want them to be very obviously Christmas socks, and so that has kind of changed the yarn that I have in my Christmas stash. So anyway, let's get back to these socks. These are knit out of Lolo Did It in her plush sock base. The colorway is Cornucopia, which kind of melds Christmas and Thanksgiving together. I do like the way that they turned out. I really like the fact that the heel and the toe are really red and green, and then the rest of the sock can kind of combine the two holidays. I will probably wear these near the beginning of December as I'm kind of working my way in. At least that's what I think. Who knows what's going to happen? A lot of things can change in, you know, it's 7, 8 months, 9 months. There's 12 months in a year. We're the 3rd month in. That would be 9 months. I'm an accountant. I can do math. So yeah, a lot can change in the 9 months that it takes to get to, well, I guess technically 8 months because, well, if you want to get really technical, 7.5 months because we're halfway through March. Really digressing. A lot of things can happen before December 1st, which I think has become apparent in just the amount of changes that we've had in the first 3 months of this year. So, or in just the past 2 weeks. By the way, it is Sunday, March 15th. We are right in the middle of the coronavirus freak out, I guess. So yeah, like a lot of the world is different than it was just 3 months ago. Anyway, so this I knit with my regular sock recipe, a Turkish toe cast on. I did a fish lips kiss heel, and then 1x1 ribbing with Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off. And yeah, that is it. I have changed the way that I have been storing my Christmas socks. I did have a really cute box, and it will probably be the final resting place for my Christmas socks once they're all knit. It's a really cute Christmas box that I got at Joann's a couple of years ago, and it's adorable. It'll hold everything, it'll be beautiful, but the problem is that I can't see them, and I'm trying to keep up my desire to knit them, and if I can't see them, I lose that oomph. So I've decided to keep them in this Sterilite clear tub. So I have the socks that I've knit, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ooh, that's pair 9. I was wrong. So I have 8 pairs of Christmas socks, and then I have all of my Christmas yarn, which you may notice is not enough to finish. And I am kind of stretching it a little bit. Like, this is red and green, but it is not the traditional Christmas red and green. This is called Santa's Bermuda Shorts, which kind of I thought was funny. This one may be one that I switch out also. While it is a gorgeous skein, it is not very Christmas. It is wintry. It is not very Christmassy. It is called Ice Age. These are both Andromeda sock yarn, which is a really cool dyer. She does sell in wholesale in some shops, like she sells in my my local yarn shop, but she also sells through her Instagram. I don't think she actually has an online store. Don't quote me on that. I really have no idea. I've only bought it from my local yarn shop. But she is interesting that she doesn't repeat colorways. So if you see something that you like, you need to grab it right then because you won't see it again, which is why these two are in my stash. Another one that I'm really seriously considering swapping out is this sock blank, which has these Christmas trees on it. And it is cute, but I'm afraid that the sock is not going to look very Christmassy. But I have still been going back and forth about that. I'm going to reserve judgment for when I get to where I need to either knit it or get rid of it. And right now I'm not at that point. But to give you an idea of some yarns that I'm really excited about, this one by Mustache Yarn, which is 250-gram skeins it's called Elfed. So you knit the red and white stripe with a green heel, and then you knit a green sock with a red and white stripe heel and toe, and I'm excited about that. And then I have this gorgeous one from Carrie, who used to dye for Creative Obsession. Her shop is closed now, but she did this Slothmas skein in 2018, and I love it. So yeah, those are the kinds of socks that I'm looking forward to making. But that is pair number 9 for my Christmas socks. Didn't mean to get on such a tangent for that. Sorry about that. My other pair of socks is a pair of sock blank socks, which was, the sock blank was dyed by Hedgerow Yarns. And it was a gorgeous sock blank. As you can see, the socks almost don't look like they belong together, but that is one of the beauties of sock blank socks. This was the first one. It is my favorite of the two, as you could probably tell, because the second one is very pink, but they are beautiful, both of them. And this is kind of a downfall of sock blanks, because the other end from what I started with had these gorgeous oranges and this kind of baby puke yellow in it, and that's what I wanted to knit into a sock, but that was at the wrong end from where you needed to start. So unfortunately, I didn't get that. I have toyed with the idea of knitting a third sock. I might do that, but currently I'm not. I don't have any set plans to do that. But I do love sock blanks. I do love sock blank socks. They are some of the best fitting socks that I have made. Something about the crinkliness of the yarn, I don't know, but I find I have 3 pairs of sock blank socks that I have made. I always grab them right away when they're clean because they are just pleasant to wear. They fit really nicely. I am due for a haircut. It's getting to be a problem. Anyway, so here they are. Again, same recipe. Toe up, Turkish toe, cast on with a fish lips kiss heel, 1x1 ribbing, and Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off. And that is all of the FOs that I have. not been finishing a lot of things. I've been starting a lot of things. Not that I've really had, startitis, where you just want to start and start and start. But I've been requested some things by dear friends, and so I've started those in order to get them done for the dear friends. And it's kind of pulled me in several different directions lately. So let's get into the whips. First off, a close friend has had her her son and daughter-in-law have had their first child, which is her first grandchild, and she asked, they're big Star Wars fans, she asked if I would knit a Princess Leia and Yoda hat, and so see if I can post a picture of the patterns. It comes as a pattern book, an ebook. I think it's $10 for both of them, which was completely understandable for me, which was perfect because then I got both. So I've started the Princess Leia hat. Here's the hat. I'm making the baby size. And so got the hat. I have got the buns started. It's just an I-cord, basically, that you spiral around. I have not finished, obviously. I-cord is not the most fun thing to knit, but I will get back to it. It goes fast once you get into a, not a routine, but rhythm, once you get into a rhythm. And so I'm just waiting for that to happen. And then also the Yoda hat, which I have just barely started. I have that much knit. And it's done with the series of purling for a while and then knitting for a while. I'm not giving away any secrets. You can see that in the pattern picture. But yeah, this one I expect will go fast once I sit down and work on it. I've been just dealing with other things after work, and so I'm only basically knitting for a little bit each day and getting a lot more done on the weekends. But yeah, so those, we'll probably not have those to show you in my next podcast. I will have to just show you some pictures because they're going to be done and given as soon as they're finished. They're going to be given. My next whip is a behemoth, and I'm just trying to get it finished. I am kind of over it, and that is my Tega sweater. Tega is a lovely pattern. I did enjoy knitting parts of it. However, I need to just come to the realization that super bulky sweaters are not my jam. I don't even really like wearing them very much, so I don't know why I continually, well, I do, I know exactly why I continually pick out patterns and buy yarn. It's because they go so fast, generally. Putting an hour in on a super bulky sweater will give you so much more sweater than putting an hour in on, say, like a fingering weight sweater. But the fingering weight sweater is going to get worn more. I need to, DK is like my sweet spot. I enjoy knitting on DK. I get enough growth on them to feel like I'm accomplishing things in a knitting session, and they are also very pleasant to wear. So I need to just kind of stick with DK weight sweaters. The odd fingering weight, sport weight, Aran weight, worsted weight, those are fine, but I need to stay away from super bulky. This one, it's just I just want it done, and especially right now because we have passed the time in the year for me to be able to get real wear out of it, and so it's like I just don't wanna. except for that it's been sitting now for a while, and it's taking up space, and I need it to just go away. I need to finish it so that I can put it away for next year, and then wear it when the snow comes back. We will still have some snow because it is only the middle of March, and we get snow off and on through May, sometimes even into June. But it's not that continuous cold. It's like these odd snaps where the snow comes for one day, and you could wear it for one day, and then the next day it warms up, and you can only wear a light sweater. But I am going to finish it. There has been some drama with this. I bought the yarn ages ago. The yarn is Hayfield. The yarn is Hayfield Super Chunky with wool. It is mostly acrylic, 80% acrylic and 20% wool. I bought it with this sweater in mind, thinking that that I would not mind knitting with this acrylic yarn, and I, for the most part, haven't minded it. But I'm not looking forward to when I have to block this sweater because, one, it is so super heavy, and two, because it is mostly acrylic, it's not going to do me any good. So I fear that the color work, which still looks a little wobbly, is not going to change with a blocking. So I'm kind of stuck with it. That is one of the downfalls of knitting with acrylic. But it did make the sweater a lot more affordable, which was the advantage to the acrylic. But I bought the yarn a couple of years ago for this sweater, and the sweater itself, I'll see if I can post a picture of the original, the designer's picture. It's a short sleeve sweater, and I thought, well, why would you have a short sleeve super bulky weight sweater? Why don't I make it with long sleeves? I was not the only one to come up with this idea. There are several people who have made it with long sleeves, and they're gorgeous. A lot of people incorporated the color work motif into the sleeves, and it's amazing. So I thought when I bought the yarn, when I started the sweater, I thought that back when I bought the yarn, I'd bought enough to make long sleeves. I really believed that that was the case. And when I finished the color work portion, I still had several, the sweater changes. You start with one color, and then in the color work section, you switch colors so that the bottom half of the sweater is all done with the second color. And I still had plenty. I had several skeins, like 5 skeins of the red left over. And so I thought, well, I must have planned to make long sleeves with this. So I continued on and finished. I don't even know if I finished the body when I got into the sleeve, but the point is that I made a sleeve, one sleeve. I didn't even, I just did a little simple color work motif here to use up some of the purple, because I discovered that I didn't have enough of the red. I didn't have enough of the purple either to finish the button bands, which is what the sweater calls for. I thought, well, maybe I'll put in a zipper, and that'll make it okay, because I didn't have enough purple. I had literally this much purple left, and so but then I realized I didn't have enough red. Okay, let's go back. So I'm like, okay, I can forego button bands and put in a zipper, and that will solve the purple issue, because I couldn't find it online hardly anywhere. The purple wasn't anywhere. No shops carry this color anymore. And so I was like, well, if I put in a zipper, then that will negate the need for a button band. But I didn't have enough red to finish the sleeves either. So I did find one Canadian store that had the red. They had like one skein. I bought it. It cost me $15 in shipping to get it here. I ended up buying some commercial sock yarn to kind of offset, because it wasn't going to pay any more in shipping to get some cheap commercial sock yarn. But I paid $15 in shipping, and I understand it's the way it goes, but it was still, it's like, gosh, I'm basically paying $27 for one skein of 80% acrylic yarn. How is my life come to that? But I got the one skein of red, and I just found myself stalled because I didn't want to put a zipper in. I didn't want to put a zipper in. I've never done it before. I'm not, I have no sewing experience. I don't know how to work a sewing machine. I do everything, you know, like sewing steeks and whatnot. I do that all by hand because I don't know how to do things with clothing that is not knitted. So putting in a zipper just seems like a really arduous undertaking, and I just didn't feel like I could do it. So I talked to some people at Knit Night, and they were like, well, it's possible, but here's some really big no-nos. Don't do this and don't do this, and make sure you do this. And I'm like, gosh, this is really getting more and more and scary. I don't want to. So the sweater sat for a while. I did go online on Ravelry and check other people's stashes because there was none for sale, but I did find one lady who had one skein of purple. Contacted her. I said, I know you don't have this for sale, but I am running out. Is it possible that you will sell your skein to me? And she wouldn't sell it to me. She gave it to me, which was awesome. All I had to do was pay her for shipping. I did pay her some extra to make sure that she understood how appreciative I was. But she sent it. It came yesterday. No, it came on Friday. Today is Sunday. And I immediately picked up the stitches for the button band, and there was plenty in that one skein to do a button band. Let me see if I can get this so you guys can see. So I have a button band. Oh, gosh, I'm sorry. It's so big and cumbersome, this sweater. I have a button band. I have buttonholes. And I have buttons. I'll show you the buttons. They're not the perfect buttons, but I don't want to spend any more money on this sweater. So these I had in my stash. Oh, I throw one across the room. I think they will be fine for this sweater. I don't expect that this is going to be an heirloom sweater that I'm going to keep forever. So, and this has happened to me before, where I have made a sweater, put buttons on it, decided after a couple of years I don't like that sweater anymore, and I've gotten rid of the sweater and kept the buttons. So I will cut the buttons off when I'm done with this. So anyway, I've got the button bands done. I need to sew on the buttons, obviously, and I need to weave in the new ends for the button band, but it is done. So at this point, I have no fear that I'm not going to have enough yarn to finish the sweater. I have quelled that fear. I do still need to knit another sleeve, which I am hoping to focus on this week. Again, it's super bulky yarn, so the sleeve won't take very long. And then sewing on the buttons, and then the blasted thing will be done. I am not in love with it on, unfortunately. I wanted this collar to sit up and be high on my neck, and it just doesn't work right. I don't know why that didn't work, and I don't know how to avoid this issue in the future. I noticed that a lot of the projects, a lot of people had where their collar sat down here like a regular sweater, and I was like, well, I don't want that to happen. But the efforts that I took to avoid that apparently didn't work. So I am reserving my full judgment once the other sleeve is done and all the ends are woven in and the buttons are on and I can really see it. But it's just going to be okay. Like, it will be great this would be like the perfect sweater to keep in my parents' RV for when we go camping and I need something to snuggle up in while we are sitting around the campfire. This would be great for that because it is warm and it's big enough to be able to wear over a long sleeve shirt or another light sweater, and it's got great pockets, and it will be good for that. But I just don't know if I'm going to get a lot of wear of it out of it, like just in general. It's not going to be like my Blue Sands cardigan, which I wear to work all the time, or my So Faded cardi, which I also wear to work all the time. Those two I go back and forth because they're so easy to put on and so comfortable. Even my Rustique, which is, I'll post a picture here because I knit that a long time ago. I don't know if you guys remember it, but I wear that one all the time as well because it's super comfy and warm. This one I don't think is going to be that kind of sweater, which is kind of a downer, but I did accomplish things. I mean, I bought the yarn. I wanted to make the sweater. I've wanted to make the sweater for many, many years, and the yarn was taking up a lot of space in my stash because, super bulky. They all looked like this, and I had like 10 of each color, so they had a special place in my closet because I couldn't even put them in my regular stashing area. So anyway, that was a lot of talk about my Taiga. I'm sorry to have taken up so much time for that, but I have a lot of thoughts and feelings about it. I do have more whips. Let's see, I've got... Oh, another thing that a friend recently asked me to knit. She is the mother of Delaney's best friend, the one who I made Fingerless Gloves for Christmas. And if you recall, Susan, the Delaney's friend, made her Fingerless Gloves for Christmas that Delaney could give to her for Christmas. And they were knit out of Hippo for Baby red, so they were red and gray, and she wore them and wore them and wore them, and then she lost one. They thought that she'd lost it when they went skiing. Come to find out, they recently found it, like they cleaned her room and found it. So now she has 3 gloves. I told her that she needs to grow a third hand, obviously, to be able to wear all 3 gloves at one time. So anyway, her mother has requested that I make her a pair of Fingerless Gloves as well. She has offered to pay for them. She's a great friend, and they have us over for dinner on a semi-regular basis, and she makes amazing food. So I told her there was no way I was taking payment. I just want to be able to keep eating at her house. So anyway, I'm making her a pair of Fingerless Gloves. I told her that this was going to pool, and she was like, please make it pool. So we are both pleased with the outcome of the pooling. So here is the first glove. I made them as tall as she requested. So she wants them to cover most of her fingers but still be able to use her phone. Of course, I still have to do a thumb. And I have the second one cast on and ready to go. I only started these on Friday, so they are going fairly quickly, and I should have the second glove done next week, or by the end of next week, by the end of this week coming up as well. Also with these, you probably won't see the finished item because I will be giving it as soon as they are done, but I'll take a picture. I also have a hoe. I think, no, I didn't have these cast on when I podcast last. My memory is not exactly accurate currently because I started to record a podcast last weekend, and I got about halfway through, and I just wasn't feeling it, and it was obvious because it was blah. So I ended up abandoning that, and so I can't remember with some of these projects if I talked about that in the podcast that I scrapped or in the one that I posted last time. Anyway, this is a pair of socks for Ron. Well, this is one of a pair. His feet are much bigger than my sock blockers, so that is why it looks funky here at the toe. But this yarn is Opal in Tequila Sunrise, or just Opal Sunrise, I guess. The colorway is 9440. Yeah, it's just called Sunrise, and it's enjoyable to knit. As you can see, I have finished the first sock. I just finished it this morning, and I have cast on for the second sock, but I only have a little bit of a toe. I've kind of made it so that the socks will be opposite each other. I did not, with this kind of yarn, this kind of dyeing, it's hard to make sure that the socks match exactly. So I try to just avoid that in general. So I could see that I had kind of started where the orange went into the blue. So on this one, I have started where the blue transitioned into the orange. And so hopefully the socks will be about polar opposite, which will work out perfectly. And I've done these with my normal sock recipe: Turkish toe cast on, fish lips kiss heel, 1x1 ribbing, Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off, and hopefully I will have a finished pair in my next podcast. I don't see why I wouldn't. But this is the project that I take to work, and so it doesn't get a whole lot of work done on a daily basis. I have one more whip, and that is my tasting menu shawl, which I was really making great progress on, and then kind of stalled out because I've been trying to finish up some of these other ones. But I have finished the first clue. If you recall, this is Tasting Menus by Telly Bean Knits, and it was a mystery cal that was being run through January. I did not knit it in January, didn't even attempt to knit it in January because that is my busy season for work. So instead I collected all of the clues and then started it mid-February, I think. I have finished the first clue. She has since sent out a finished pattern with it all together and not with clues. But since I had already printed out each of the clues, I'm going with that. But here is the first clue all done. Oh, bugger. There we go. First clue all done. I'm really enjoying how it turned out. I opted to go with these colors first because they are my least favorite. Sorry, it's a lot of pinky colors, but they go well with the rest. So if you haven't seen, I just hit myself in the nose. If you haven't seen a picture of the finished shawl, it starts out triangle like this, and right about now, I've got a couple more rows, but right shortly, I'm going to take, and we're going to go off here, and then again off here with two different color groupings. And so I'm pretty much done with the pinky red stuff. I've got a bit to do with the main color. If you recall, this is done with 9 different minis and then 1 full skein. So I'm going to be doing a decent amount with this in clue 2, and then we'll go back into this motif again for the end with the other 6 colors. So yeah, that is what I've got going on that. I am excited to get back to it because it is very enjoyable to knit. I'm not looking forward to all the ends I'm going to have to weave in. I am thinking about maybe just weaving in the ones that I have so far so that I don't have... It always seems to... future Christy always appreciates when past Christy does stuff like that. Although past Christy doesn't really enjoy it. And yeah, that is all of... That's it. That's all the yarny stuff. I did get asked to do a review of my ball winder. I am going to have to wait until next time for that. I have to get some more things set up, and I'm just not in a position to be able to do that currently. But it is coming. And I also was asked, I posted an Instagram post recently about how we were Ron and I are trying to live more deliberately, and I got some questions about that and asked if I would expand on that in my next podcast. So it's basically just as I said, we're trying to live more deliberately. We're trying to not be so mindless about everything. I've discovered over time that I really have done a lot of things mindlessly. I have eaten mindlessly. I have spent money mindlessly. I have wasted hours upon hours upon hours of time mindlessly. You come home, you're tired, and you've worked all day, and you want to just kind of sit down and relax. You deserve it. So you sit down, you bring up Facebook on your phone, and you have a little snack. And you realize when you look up again that 2.5 hours have passed, you have accomplished nothing, and you've eaten a whole bowl of chips, that kind of thing. It's completely mindless. Or you're too tired, so you grab takeout on the way home, and and then you eat it. And so you've eaten too much because you were hungry, so you ordered too much, and you've eaten too much, and you've spent that money when you had food in the kitchen, and then the next day, oh, you know what, I'm still tired, I've had a really bad day, so I'm going to do it again. And you just end up spending, you realize that when the week is over, you've gone out to eat 4 times, haven't eaten anything that you really enjoyed that was worth the money or the calorie intake, and you've wasted $100 because you did. And if somebody had said, here, is this worth wasting $100 on? You would of course say, no, it's not worth wasting $100 on, because you're thinking about it. But when you're doing it mindlessly, you don't think about it. And we have gotten ourselves, I think as a society, into that habit. And Ron and I personally have gotten ourselves into that habit. Something fierce. So we talked about it. It's something that we each came into on our own, and then kind of came together and fleshed out the idea of just trying to live deliberately. Now, it is a complete lifestyle change. So it is something that is going to have stops and starts. We are not going to automatically become deliberate people. Still find myself having wasted entirely too much time on Facebook or on YouTube, following a rabbit trail, and or eating things that I didn't really want to eat, but I was wasting time and just putting it in my stomach. So it's a process, but we are taking the steps to do that. Some of the things that we are focusing on are how we spend our money. We have really limited the amount of eating out that we do, and when we do it, it is for a specific reason. We pick up Ron's mom for church every other Sunday. One of those Sundays, we go out to lunch with her for a special lunch, but because she only eats chicken fingers. So we go to some place that has chicken fingers, something that is special for her, and we have lunch together, and that is something that we have chosen to spend our money on. If we, for anniversaries or birthdays, or somebody gets a raise or something like that, we will go out for that. But it's something that we actually think about. I was doing DoorDash all the time. I don't do DoorDash all the time anymore. In fact, I canceled my Dash Pass because I was like, why should I spend all this money on being too lazy to go out and get the food? It is one thing if you are sick and you can't leave. Obviously, with the coronavirus thing going on right now, a lot of people are trying to stay in their houses. I get that, but mine was pure laziness and mindlessness. And so, so we're not doing DoorDash all the time. We have made, I've always made dinner lists all week, but I have always been the one that was responsible for the dinners. We worked out a deal with our children, not a deal, we didn't make a deal with them, but we talked to them about this. We've kept them included in this discussion, and we, as a family, agreed that the dinner tasks should be split evenly between the family. So I make dinner 2 nights a week, Ron makes dinner 2 nights a week, Tatum makes dinner 2 nights a week, and Delaney makes dinner 1 night a week, because she's only 12. And there's only 7 days in a week, and there's 4 of us. And so we've done that so that it's not always resting on my shoulders, because I would have a rough day at work and I wouldn't want to cook, and there was nobody else that was going to want to cook either. So we would end up, I would grab food on the way home, or we would eat out, or I would DoorDash something, and this way, I only have 2 days that I have to really worry about, and the other days I can, come home and relax and not have to worry about what I'm going to make for dinner. It's somebody else's issue, and everybody else has that same feeling. They don't know that they only have the 2 days, or in Delaney's case, the 1 day where they have to. So that pressure is off, and it helps make the whole thing more enjoyable. Plus, we're all having more of a hand in what we're consuming as a family. We're also trying to, of course, make the meals healthy and filling and something that everybody will enjoy. That goes on into the deliberate eating. I have joined Noom. My work is amazing because they have a wellness benefit that they offer to us every year. So I've been able to offset the cost of a Noom subscription with that, and I'm logging in what I'm eating every day, and I'm really thinking about what I'm putting in my body instead of just whatever is quick and easy and cheap, and going to appease now hangry Christy. I'm avoiding all of that by really being deliberate with what I'm eating. With our purchases, we are really trying to be deliberate with that. I mean, I talked about how we're not eating out as much, which was just a money suck. We are also really putting forth an effort to become as debt-free as possible. There are still things that are large debts that we're not so focused on getting rid of right now, like our mortgage or our student loans, which are large, but we have other small debts that we really don't need to have, and we're wasting entirely too much money in interest rates and whatnot. That money could be going to something much more fun. So we're working on becoming as debt-free as possible. And we're just trying to be more deliberate in our lives. I'm really thinking about purchases that I'm making. I'm not just going in and buying yarn or books without thinking, do I really want this? Am I really going to knit with this? Am I really going to read this book? Or am I just in love with the color of it or the cover of the book? I'm bad habit of buying books that I just like the cover of, and I'm not really sure I'm actually ever going to read it, but I think it's gorgeous. So we're just trying to kind of think about those kinds of things and do things with a deliberate nature. And so that means that if I've spent 4 hours sitting and knitting, that's okay, because that was a deliberate choice that I made. I did not waste time. It's something that I have gotten my other chores done. I have that time. Yesterday, Ron and I went to the grocery store and we put all the food away, and we'd run some other errands, and then I was free until we had some evening plans, and so that was my time. I sat down and I knit on those button bands, and that was okay because it was a deliberate choice. It wasn't that I was putting off other things and just wasting time watching YouTube or scrolling through Facebook or Instagram. I was really deliberately focusing on that. It was a goal that I had set for myself, and I accomplished it. It's just basically that. And even in my work life, I've focused on being more deliberate with my work, which I have found leads to less, oh crud, I forgot to do that, and simple mistakes as well, which is nice. And while it's only been a couple of weeks, I do feel like there's been a positive change in
all of our lives. We're getting along better. We're having a more in-depth discussions with our children. Ron and I are seeing eye to eye on things, and discussing plans for the future with each other, which is something that we always just kind of, oh yeah, well, the future is the future, and we're not going to worry about that because today I got to deal with. It's nice. I'm enjoying it, and I think it's going to be positive for us well into the future. So yeah, that's basically it. Feel free to ask any questions. If you have any. If you don't, cool. All right, I am ready to go. I gotta clean up my mess and talk to my family about what we're gonna do with the rest of our Sunday. And yeah, I'm not sure when this will upload. I've been having some struggles getting the video from my phone to my computer, and I'm having to wait for it to sync, which takes a while, and I'm not entirely sure how to fix that yet. So it may not be that it may be like Tuesday before I get this edited and uploaded. I apologize for that. But anyway, have a wonderful rest of your weekend and your week. Stay safe, stay healthy, hug your loved ones, and happy knitting. Bye.